Hey guys, welcome back. Well, as promised, a second podcast, Mac Talk 2 with singer-songwriter Stephanie Forryan. Now, Stephanie is an independent singer-songwriter from the Boston area. She currently tours in Germany. The new CD is called Sweet Insomnia. Please do check it out. But for this podcast, as promised, we answer three of your questions. The first question was, what does Stephanie think about malware? Question two was, what made Stephanie switch from Windows to OS X? And then the last question, not so much about Mac, but somebody wanted to know, what does Stephanie think about streaming services and independent artists like herself? Very enlightening answer. So check it out. That's all I have for this one. Let me know what you guys think about this, and maybe we'll do Mac Talk 3 sometime in the future. Well, that's all I have for this one. As always, thank you for watching and listening to this Total OS Today technology channel. As always, enjoy your technology, and please don't text and drive. Ciao. Hello, and welcome back to a special podcast here on the Total OS Today technology channel. And guess who's back? That's right, my special friend from Boston slash Germany. Yes, Boston, just north of Munich. No, I'm just kidding. Stephanie Forryan is back. She is from the Boston area, and tonight, yes, she is back in the States. It's fantastic, and maybe we'll hook up maybe next time to do a live on location podcast, stuff like
Yeah,
that. But yay! But Stephanie's back. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
good. How are you?
Terrific. Okay, so you are back at a more reasonable hour. We can do this podcast, so you're not
Yes.
6 hours ahead, so we can talk a little bit. Okay, so as you guys know, if you haven't been following Stephanie, by the way, you should check out stephanieforian.com. She is an independent artist, a singer-songwriter, originally from Massachusetts. She's got a beautiful voice. I know up north they say she's wicked, but I say the beautiful voice. That's what I say, here in Ohio. But yeah, check out stephanieforian.com, bandcamp.com, Amazon, Vinny's Basement, and all the respectable shopping areas. I'm just kidding, of course. Okay, so we did a Mac talk with Stephanie Forryan last month or month before. I lost track. So we had some good questions. So in case you guys don't know, Stephanie writes all her music exclusively on a MacBook Pro. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, cool. So what we have here are three questions, and I think we'll save the best one for last. The last question is about streaming services. I think we talked about this before. It's somewhat complicated, if I recall. They had something about how artists get paid and what's going on in Congress and all this.
Hmm.
I recall. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll save the fun part for last. Haha.
Congress, the fun part, right?
Yes, yes. Well, it is a Congress. Get it? No, but
Yeah.
okay. So Stephanie, question number one, if you're ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What does Stephanie think about malware?
I've been pretty lucky. I've been using a freeware antivirus program. What is it called? It begins with an S. The S is in the logo. That's why I can remember it. Oh goodness, how could I forget? But Sophos. That's what it is. And that has found a couple of things, but it's always been able to quarantine them
Cool.
and get rid of them. So I haven't had any dramatic problems, but basically I make sure I back up everything regularly
Yeah.
and on an external hard drive, and I haven't had any problems. So I've been lucky to date.
Do you use like a with the cell phones? And I believe I recommended that also for Linux if somebody uses like a Linux-based system. I'm not sure if it's for Windows, but I know it's for Linux, and I believe for Linux there's a free download too. So.
Hmm.
Do you run like a scheduled virus scan, like once a month, like some people do in Windows, or just like whenever you feel like it?
I really should, but the advantage of me using my Mac, I'm not actually in the internet all that much. Like I have a separate PC.
Ah,
That's where I do most of my internet stuff. So the only sites that I am visiting are sites that I know and trust. And I mean, I know that I can still have problems. I'm aware of that. And I also do check my email on that machine.
okay.
So like I know I should be checking more often.
Yeah.
Actually, I would do that once a week normally if I were in on the internet more often. My PC, I run the antivirus stuff every week.
Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah, now in Linux, to be honest, I don't use a virus scanner at all. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm just being a little bit overly blasé about it. But yeah, I don't use a virus scanner in Linux. I feel very secure. Now in Windows, I think it's absolutely necessary.
Definitely.
But in Linux, I don't use anything yet. Now watch it tomorrow. I'll probably get hit with something and then it'll crash. Watch. But okay, cool. Let's move on, Stephanie, to question number two.
Okay.
What made Stephanie switch from Windows to OS X?
Um, I spent about half my time troubleshooting with my PCs. I had three different PCs over the years that tried to do music on, but it just was a headache. And then I decided I would try Mac just because I heard that it was not like that. And
Yeah,
they were right. I mean, it's kind of complicated trying to get everything up and running because one problem I have with Mac in general is that they kind of tend to change the ports and they update software and stuff, and then it's not compatible with older versions, and it gets really difficult really fast. So you have to do your research beforehand. That's what I
okay.
learned.
Yeah.
So that you buy the right computer. And sometimes buying a refurbished older model is actually the smarter move, depending on what equipment you want to use with it.
Hmm.
And it's great because it's cheaper and it works just fine. And since then, like once I get everything up and running, I barely ever have to troubleshoot anything. Everything
Wow.
works. It doesn't crash.
Wow.
Perfect. Yeah.
Wow. That's rare, but I guess I've heard a lot of good things about Apple products. So everything works, all the apps work all the time, period.
I haven't had any problems. Lately, I've been having problems with Firefox. But I have to say, I'm not on the internet all that much with that computer, so that doesn't bother me. And the other thing I've noticed is my MacBooks, they can last 10 to 15 years. I can still be using them.
Hmm.
Um, and I've never had a PC that lived more than 6 years. And by the time I got to year four, they were smoking.
Wow.
So
There's a common theme here with people saying Apple products tend to last longer, but you pay more up front. So,
yeah, and I mean the technology doesn't stop developing either, and so it could be like the biggest problem that I had was that the technology that I needed to work was no longer made for the older models because they're not making stuff for 10-year-old computers.
right,
But
right.
that was actually the only reason I had to ever stop using a Mac was just because the software outgrew the system. But the system itself, if you just look at it as a closed thing, like for example, I have a music program,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need any new stuff on there, so I can use that forever potentially.
Okay, cool. Yeah, someone had asked another question, the thoughts on upgrading versus buying or something, and I guess this ties into sometimes you just have to buy something new because it's just obsolete, right?
That's very true. I mean, it really depends. Like if you're starting fresh, you don't have any hardware that you have to think about, ports and compatibility and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I would say maxing out a computer from the very beginning is a pretty smart move because, technology just develops so fast.
Yeah.
But if, that's one of those things that you have to look at your budget and what you want to do. And
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let's go into question number three.
okay.
All right, so question number three is, let's see, what does Stephanie think about being an independent artist and streaming services like like Pandora and Spotify and iHeart and stuff like that? And like I said, we talked about this before, and it's rather complicated, but I'll just let you explain it. So,
Okay. Well, first of all, I think being an independent artist there's certain advantages and disadvantages in general to it. Um, the advantages are you can do what you want musically. Uh, the disadvantages are it's funny when you do everything yourself. The industry and also a lot of people in general, they almost like look down on that because they're like, oh, well, they must not be good enough to be working with other people. But sometimes it's not that you're not good enough to work with other people. Like I know a lot of indie artists that I've met along my path that are absolutely like they would blow your mind. They're
ah,
just so good. And yet they choose to work alone because they might pay other musicians to come out and help out, but
yeah,
basically they're the boss and they, say what's what. And so that's the cool thing is you have the control. But the funny thing is that, you have to end up being like this all around person. You have to become an expert in everything.
Yeah.
And so, but it's funny because then the industry's like, oh, well, she must not be good enough if she's doing it alone. And you're like, wait a minute, like that's not necessarily that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to like work against some prejudices that people have, especially because nowadays, I mean, technically, you could record your cat vomiting and then you could release it worldwide on iTunes and Amazon and everything. So like there's no gatekeeper anymore. And so I think like one of the things that they're like, oh well, if you're working alone, like there must be no quality, which isn't really true. But I can see their point, because technically I could be producing stuff that no one wants to hear. And then when it comes to streaming, say you're an independent artist and you create an awesome album and with awesome songs,
Yeah.
people stream it. I'm at a stage right now where I just want people to discover my music.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared for a slow burn, meaning I'm in this for the long run, and
Yeah.
I realize that I'm not going to be making huge profits right now.
Yeah.
So I choose to let all services stream my music. So you can hear me on Apple Music, you can hear me on Spotify.
Right.
But I have to say, Spotify gives artists. I looked it up a couple of months ago, but it's something insane like 0.00001 cent per play.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I'm not making any money from
Yeah.
Spotify.
Okay.
Um, but there are other services out there. For example, Deezer is, I think, based in France, and they're now starting to advertise throughout Europe. And I think I've even seen a couple of things here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Deezer is a service, they pay each artist 6 cents per play,
Okay.
which is much better. So, like, it's one of those things where if you want to stream music, but you also want to support artists, there are streaming services out there that really support artists. And then at some point, I think the landscape is going to have to change just because no artist can survive off of Spotify.
Yeah.
And like even like the greatest that are getting millions of plays, you don't end up getting much money. And when you just look at like say the production that someone like Beyonce would have,
Yeah.
that's an expensive production. She's got whole teams of people working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never seen her numbers, of course, and of course that's also an extreme example. But when you look at the expenses that they have just to get that show recorded and on the road and everything, that's not being funded by Spotify.
Ah.
And but the thing is, record deals have they have power to negotiate and maybe get better deals on certain things. So I think the landscape will change in the future just because right now it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
But we have to wait for Congress to do stuff, and right now Congress is kind of paralyzed.
Yeah, well, it's an election season, and by the way, I'm from Ohio, guys. So whoever wins the election, the guy with the girl, if you guys want my vote, you or her need to fix this. For if you want my, I'm telling all my friends, no, but well, let me ask you this:
Hmm.
if you had influence or were running for office in Congress, what would be a fair bill to pass? What would be fair?
For artists, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
like streaming services, how you get paid, or yeah, I mean, what would be like a fair percentage, a fair contract, a fair? What would be like you mentioned that one streaming service, Deezer, that's six cents?
yeah, 6 cents per song. It's
Okay,
something like that. Like I feel like that's fair. And
okay,
they have different rates. Like I think if someone is just trying the service, they can try it for I think 30 days for free, and
okay,
in that period they pay I think artists 3 cents for
okay.
those plays. But even that, because I understand, like as an artist, like Deezer isn't like some rich millionaire that's just choosing to steal my money or something,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like they have to make their money somehow. And so I do think that artists have the responsibility to maybe share in some of the risk.
yeah,
But at the same time, if they're going to share in the risk, they better darn well profit from it. And the thing is, Spotify has had a pretty rough time. Like, I'm not criticizing Spotify. There's also tons of stuff that I haven't even begun to think about because I don't work there. And I'm sure they have, very big challenges and that they're trying to figure it out too. I don't think that the people at Spotify are evil and they're out to destroy independent artists. Like,
Feel the power of the dark side. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Darth Vader is not walking the halls. Uh,
Sorry, go ahead.
exactly. So,
Okay.
so they're trying to find a way to get started so that it's profitable. And I'm kind of hoping that once they do get things up and running, that they'll think of a better model together with the artists because the problem is also the transparency. I don't want to require something of someone that they can't pay. Like it should be a win-win situation for the streaming
Yes.
companies and the artists
Right, right.
and the listeners. Everybody should win. And right now, Spotify's fighting, the listeners win, but the musicians are really on the losing end of the stick. So, but the balance will come somehow.
Yeah. I was just gonna say there's an imbalance of all parties involved, and it doesn't have to be that way, huh?
No, it doesn't. But the thing is, you have to think, technology has been developing so fast. Um,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
going to be imbalances and there's going to be big, big hiccups. And I think this is just one of them. And at some point, it will right itself.
Okay. I just wanted to say that even Adele at one point was an unknown. I believe she was discovered, of all places, MySpace, if
Hmm.
I recall,
Yeah.
10 years ago when she was 17, 18 or something like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody has to be an unknown at some point to get started to move on to the next level.
That's
So,
very, very true.
yeah. Well, I hope for those viewers who asked the questions, I hope that I hope that Stephanie answered those. I think she did a great job. Yay! Okay. All right. So before we wrap this up, what's your immediate plans for the future? I know you fly back to Germany, I believe on the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So I'm playing my first American festival at the beginning of September, and then I fly off to Germany and I go back on tour.
I know. I wish we had more time. I wanted so bad to come up there, but just to fly up and to fly back, it almost feels like I'm stealing something and running back home or something. But
That's what you feel like on tour. You're just flying back and forth all the time.
yeah, yeah, really. Like, yeah, it's a total of West today on tour. Hello, goodbye. See you next time. But
Yeah, you would have been a rock star.
yeah, really. Oh my. Well, maybe next time.
Yeah.
So, but okay, Stephanie, thank you for joining me again. This time at a more sustainable hour. And
Thanks for.
not Germany. So remember, guys, please check out stephanieforryan.com, Bandcamp, Amazon, iTunes, and the other places to buy her songs. Please check out her voice. She is the real deal. And if I was in New York, I would say, yo, hey, check out the chick. She's got the voice. Okay. Uh, and I mean that totally respectably, of course. Sometimes I could turn my accent on or off. Like instead of saying, Stephanie, would you like a cup of coffee?
Mhm.
Hey, Stephanie, would you like some coffee? You know. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Please check out stephanieforryan.com. Buy her song. She's got the voice. And maybe, just maybe, Stephanie, we can get you to the next level, to the next famous level. People buy enough of your songs. Maybe you can come back to the States and tour the States because you were
That would be.
born, that's right, you were born in the USA. So you need to play here and not in
It,
Germany.
that is on my bucket list. I want to do a US tour and I really want to even if it's like night, like I love small venues. It would be
Yeah,
fun to do just a club tour of the
yeah.
whole US.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm working on it. It's a slow process, but it'll happen.
Maybe we can do a live event. Google, YouTube has this live event that we can schedule. Maybe you can do like a little concert, from Germany or here next time, and we can say, hey, people, here's a free live event with donations or something like that. It's just a thought. But I think that would be awesome, and I think your parents would be proud of you. especially if you could tour the States.
They would be pretty darn happy just because I'd be on the same side of the ocean, I think.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, that's StephanieForian.com. She's on YouTube. She's posted tons of songs, acoustic stuff. Thank you once again for joining us on this special podcast. And we'll do Mac Talk 3 sometime next time. You're always welcome to ask your questions about Mac stuff and music stuff and whatever other questions you have. And we'll be happy to answer them next time. Stephanie, this was a joy. Let's do it again soon.
Okay.
As always, guys, enjoy your technology and please don't text and drive. Ciao.